Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us a call with news, tips, or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
It's National Apple Brown Betty Day, so now you know what to do with your leftover harvest. Bake up an apple cinnamon crumble, heat, add ice cream, and serve. It's October 5th, 2016. Now here's the news. According to the Cortez Journal, a wildfire that has forced hundreds of evacuations in southern Colorado destroyed at least 8 homes, but firefighters took advantage of calmer weather Tuesday to get a handle on the blaze. 3 helicopters and 3 air tankers, along with about 400 firefighters on the ground, battled the wildfire near Beulah on Tuesday, preventing additional evacuations. The fire, which has scorched about 8 square miles, was reported near the small town Monday and quickly spread in winds that gusted up to 50 miles an hour. All people living in the town and the surrounding valley southwest of Pueblo, about 1,950 residents, were ultimately ordered to leave the area after the flames spread in various directions. They have not yet been allowed to return home. Winds were not quite as strong Tuesday, allowing helicopters to drop water on the fire, which is burning on terrain ranging from grassy plains and steep canyons. The area has a mix of both permanent homes and vacation properties. Pueblo County Sheriff Kirk Taylor is confident that they will be kicking this fire shortly. He said it was a difficult decision to expand the evacuation order because of the fire's unpredictability and promised to let residents back into their homes as soon as possible. No injuries have been reported and no cause has been announced.
According to the Durango Herald, investigators believe they have found the rest of the human remains of a Pagosa Springs man whose body was found in August in a remote area east of the town. Archuleta County Sheriff's Office Undersheriff Tonya Hamilton said local agencies on September 30th teamed with Colorado forensic canines to scour the area where some of 29-year-old Andrew Donald Chacon's remains were initially found. A crew of 4 dogs and 8 handlers located more of Chacon's remains, which should help investigators learn more details surrounding his death, Hamilton said. Chacon's remains were discovered August 23rd along Mill Creek Road, about 6 to 8 miles from Colorado Highway 84 east of Pagosa Springs. Last month, a coroner determined the most likely cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head, but it was unclear if it was self-inflicted or a result of foul play. Investigators believe Chacon's remains had been in the forest for at least a year. His family suspected he was missing, but they had not officially reported him as a missing person, authorities said.
Reported in the Durango Herald. As you've no doubt heard, the National Park Service turned 100 this year, commemorating a century's worth of history and preservation in the United States. On Wednesday, Dwight Pitketley, former chief historian for the National Park Service, will speak at Fort Lewis College on the changes, problems, and successes the system has faced over the past 100 years. As chief historian for the Park Service from 1995 to 2005, Pitketley's job was to be head cheerleader for ensuring the most current scholarship was available at Park Service sites throughout the country. But as the Park Service continues navigating a budgetary shortfall that has afflicted it for decades, keeping that history current, which is critical to educating the public, has been difficult. Pitketley began working for the Park Service in the mid-1970s, and since then the annual budget has been flat or on the decline. When he retired in 2005 as chief historian, the Park Service's overall budget was about $2.5 billion. Today, it's about $2.8 billion, which doesn't keep up with the inflation and isn't enough to handle $12 billion in backlog projects. The Park Service estimates most of its sites are operating on budgets 2/3 of what they need, and some research suggests Congress would have to double the entity's annual budget to adequately fund it. The results can come in the form of facilities in disrepair or in ways that Pitketley, as a historian, worked to prevent. Some park exhibits, for example, are decades old. Despite growing funding issues, the National Park Service has changed in 2 positive, significant ways in a century, he said. The first is the size of the system. There were 38 sites at the Park Service's inception a century ago, including 22 monuments, 14 parks, and 2 reservations. Today, there are 412. The second is there are now a host of community assistance programs authorized by Congress to preserve land, structures, and sites outside of the Park Service's purview. Those include programs to maintain rivers and trails and tax credits for historic preservation of commercial buildings. Pitcatley is a professor of history at New Mexico State University. He will speak at 7 p.m. Wednesday at the Center for Southwest Studies at Fort Lewis College. This may be a tough love example of how federal government overreaches without the means and manner and money to support management.
According to the Durango Herald, 2 psychologists have different opinions as to whether a Durango man suspected of felony assault is competent to stand trial. Antonio Nez, 31, is accused of punching Davidson Shirley Chi, 38, in the head and knocking him unconscious April 8th in the area behind Albertsons and the downtown Durango Inn on the Animas River Trail. Chi was airlifted to St. Mary's Hospital in Grand Junction with an epidural hematoma and skull fracture. Dr. Loandra Torres Miller with the Mental Health Institute in Pueblo found Nez competent to stand trial, while Dr. J.W. Ragsdale of Durango found him incompetent. Both presented their findings Tuesday in 6th Judicial District Court. District Judge Jeffrey Wilson plans to issue a ruling in the next couple of days as to whether Nez is competent to stand trial. If he is found to be competent, prosecutors can proceed with criminal charges against him. If not, he will be sent to the state hospital in Pueblo to see if he can be restored to competency. The legal definition of competency is based on a 2-part test: whether the defendant has a factual and rational understanding of the proceedings against him, and whether he has the ability to consult with his lawyer to assist with his defense. It has less to do with mental illness than his overall understanding of the criminal proceeding. During an assessment, Ragsdale said Nez often looked off to one side like he was distracted. He has a history of visual and auditory hallucinations, Ragsdale said. When asked about the criminal justice process, he identified the defense attorney as the person who wants to put him in jail, and his knowledge of a judge and jury were mostly derived from television crime shows. Miller said Nez has impairment with planning and problem solving, but not so much that he's incapable of understanding the judicial process. He scored below a certain level on a test indicating he could have cognitive problems that require further testing.
The San Juan Record in Utah reported on the latest activity involving the proposed Bears Ears Monument. The San Juan County Commission approved a resolution on October 4th regarding the Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition proposal to create the Bears Ears National Monument. The county resolution states that the Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition is a non-governmental organization that has no jurisdiction over land use planning activities in San Juan County. The county resolution outlines several key points that commissioners say they are roadblocks to the creation of the proposed national monument. The resolution states that a number of property rights exist in the proposed monument that do not meet the definition of public lands, including 43 grazing allotments, 661 water right infrastructures, 151,000 acres of state trust land, 18,000 acres of private property, and hundreds of miles of roads and infrastructure, which are granted an RS 2477 right-of-way. The resolution adds that the proposal violates at least 18 established planning efforts, including a memorandum of agreement with the Navajo Nation. The resolution states that the coalition's assertion of rampant looting conflicts with reports of local and federal law enforcement agencies. In summary, the county resolution states that the proposal does not meet the quality, utility, objectivity, and integrity standards that are required of federal agencies for decision-making. It asks that the federal government follow existing federal law, which rules out an arbitrary and unilateral designation of public lands. The Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition has asked President Barack Obama to create the Bears Ears National Monument using the Antiquities Act. The proposed monument could be as large as 1.9 million acres, or 38% of the entire land mass of San Juan County. The resolution was approved unanimously by the commissioners. It is part of a report on the proposed monument that was created by consultants at Stillwater Technical Solutions. The report outlines procedural requirements, governmental prerogatives, and the required statutory process that would be required for the designation. The county will present the report to elected federal officials in Salt Lake City on October 10th and to Department of the Interior officials in Washington, D.C. on October 12th. Commissioners approved an increase in the budget to present the report to the federal officials. In total, San Juan County will pay $53,000 to Stillwater Technical Solutions to develop and present the report.
According to the Durango Herald, for example, prior to Saturday, customers could buy 28 grams of hash now because it is a marijuana concentrate. The limit is 8 grams. Under this rule, customers can buy 80 10 milligram servings of THC in edible products. Previously, 2,800 10 milligram servings could be sold. These changes were based on a state-sponsored study that looked at THC dosage. The new rules will require more education for store employees to ensure compliance, said Ryan Hood, inventory manager at Animus Herbal Wellness Center. It's kind of on all us to make sure we are not overselling, he said. Even though the rules decrease how much retailers can sell during a single transaction, Hood is not worried. As an industry, we have to do what the MED tells us to do, he said, of oversight by the state's Marijuana Enforcement Division. We worked so hard to get where we are. Let's just follow the rules, he said. The marijuana industry in Durango has seen impressive growth with a 33.3% increase in annual sales through August compared with the same period last year, according to city data. From January through August, Durango collected $493,000 from marijuana shops. During the same time last year, the city collected about $370,000, City Finance Director Julie Brown said. Durango collected over $598,000 in sales tax from marijuana shops in total for all of 2015. And now here's our weather report.
Those skies are clear right now. There's a hazardous weather outlook from the National Weather Service out of Grand Junction, issued for eastern Utah and western Colorado for today and tonight. It states that breezy weather returns this afternoon, 5 to 15 mile per hour south-southwest, winds becoming north-northeast after midnight with gusts up to 20 miles per hour overnight. Possible scattered showers will increase in coverage tonight across the northern mountains, with snow levels falling to mountain bases. Up to 6 inches of snow are possible above 8,000 feet in northwest Colorado. Lighter rain and snowfall amounts will be found elsewhere. Thursday, rain and snow will come to an end by the evening with dry weather for Friday, Saturday across the region. Another surge of moisture works up into the southern zones on Sunday, with unsettled weather returning as we move into next week. Our temperatures are still tracking below normal for October. Last night was warmer than the night before in our area, with 30 degrees for the morning cold low. Onto the national weather. The outlook that the low pressure front is still slowly making its way across the center of the states, and Hurricane Matthew is now heading for the Bahamas after hitting Cuba hard. Storm watches and warnings are now in effect for much of Florida. Next to look out in that region will be the tropical storm Nicole as she moves northwestward over the western Atlantic, possibly taking a turn further northwest, but the track is too early to forecast specifics. The snow and rain across much of the Pacific Northwest continues to drop early precipitation as far south as the northern part of Utah, and the potential for now northwest Colorado to catch some snow, as I talked about earlier. The DCTV 5-day shows us again around 60 degrees for the high today, but if our skies stay clear, our nighttime temperatures should drop back into the lower 20s tonight. Then a warming trend builds into the weekend, though this model is showing small potentials for snow or rain in the 30 to 20% chance for rain for Saturday through Monday. Our current sunrise is at 7:15 a.m. and official sunset is now at 6:52 p.m. And now, back to the news, Kelsey.
According to the Durango Herald, months after seeing funding cuts, university officials in New Mexico expressed concern Tuesday over a GOP-led House proposal that would slash more money from state colleges amid a statewide budget crisis. The concern came after House Republicans proposed Monday to replace Senate Democratic cuts in K-12 education with reductions in higher education. Under the GOP plan, colleges and universities in New Mexico would see around an additional 6% cut in funding. Earlier this year, state lawmakers voted to cut higher education funding by 2.5%. The proposed decrease would be on top of that funding cut. The Democratic-controlled Senate has adjourned, and leaders have not signaled if they would support higher education funding reductions to close an overall $500 million shortfall. Eastern New Mexico University President Stephen Gamble told the Associated Press the proposed reductions would add more stress to an already strapped school budget. I would not say the cuts would totally undermine what we are doing, but it would come close, Gamble said. Gamble said the Eastern New Mexico likely would have to raise tuition, but not see layoffs.
Fluorescent pink is the new orange for hunting. Well, at least it is a choice here in Colorado. In the spring of 2016, we reported on the Colorado legislature passing Senate Bill 16068 concerning wearing fluorescent pink garments to hunt big game. This change went into effect August 10, 2016. So here's what you need to know about the new fluorescent pink hunter safety color. Authorized fluorescent pink is an alternative color to daylight fluorescent orange. Any person who hunts or take elk, deer, pronghorn, moose, or black bear with any firearm shall wear solid fluorescent pink or daylight fluorescent orange garments. Camouflage pink or camouflage orange is not legal. The required color shall be a minimum of 500 square inches to be worn as an outer garment above the waist, part of which shall be a hat or head covering visible from all directions. You may mix fluorescent pink and daylight fluorescent orange, though the fashionistas might get you. To date, there isn't a nationally recognized study done on bright or fluorescent pink. The state will accept a product that is sold as fluorescent pink. Fluorescent pink is not on the nanometer light scale. Technically, the Pantone chart, which is the Universal Standard Directory for color frequencies, indicates that 806C represents a good standard for fluorescent pink. That's the one we've been showing here. The CPW are encouraging companies unfamiliar with Pantone 806C, or if they have questions, to send in a copy of their pink fabric for review to the Hunter Education Coordinator at 6060 Broadway in Denver. Locally, Frosty's Liquor Store is selling the colorful clothes and hats in the bright neon pink shade with their logo and a cool antler design. So if you are proud to hunt in pink, be sure to check that out on Frosty's Facebook page. Frosty's Liquor is located just off the highway behind the VFW post.
According to the Cortez Journal, during a ceremony in Las Vegas, the Dolores River boating advocates were recognized for their community fundraising efforts by the Conservation Lands Foundation. The award and $5,000 donation were presented during CLF's annual Friends Rendezvous October 1st. Boating advocates board members Sam Carter and Jay Loschert attended and said it validates the hard work it took to release a documentary film on the Dolores River. We wanted a big fundraising activity, and we did it through a film that tells the honest story of the Dolores River, Carter said during the acceptance speech. The film River of Sorrows, Inheriting the Dolores, has shown to packed audiences from Dolores to Grand Junction, Durango to Flagstaff. It was paid for through a $12,000 grant from Patagonia and a local fundraising campaign. Film sales and showings has raised awareness and donations for the nonprofit, Loschert said. During the annual River Permit Party last year, the group had 125 people and raised $7,000. During the film debut this year at the River Permit Party, 400 people attended and the group raised $15,000, he said. Since forming in 2012, the Advocates Group has been active in its efforts to protect the river's ecosystem and promote whitewater boating.
A tribe called Red, We Are the Hallucination, is part of a newly burgeoning artistic entry often referred to as the electric Pow Wow. Bursting forth from Canada's capital, native producer DJ crew A Tribe Called Red is offering up a truly unique sound that's impacting the global electronic scene and urban club culture. Since 2010, the group, currently made up of DJ Indian, those are the letters ND and N, Bear Witness, that's BEAR, and Toolman, spelled with the number 2, has been mixing traditional powwow vocals and drumming with cutting-edge electronic music. Their self-titled album, released in March 2012, was longlisted for Canada's prestigious Polaris Music Prize and included in the Washington Post's Top 10 Albums of the Year. In a sense, ATCR's music is the soundtrack to a contemporary evolution of the powwow. Their electric powwow events in Ottawa showcase native talent and Aboriginal culture alongside an open, wild party. Within a couple of years, they've become the face of an urban Native youth renaissance, championing their heritage and speaking out on Aboriginal issues while being on top of popular music, fashion, and art. Bear Witness doubles as the crew's visual artist and creates stunning, political, and sometimes humorous videos that incorporate film and pop culture references to Native people and reclaim the Aboriginal image. You can often catch the sound of ATCR on local radio airwaves as part of the nationally syndicated radio show called Undercurrents, which is a part of the Native Voice One network. The FM station out of Montrose and Peonia broadcasts the show in the late nights on FM 89.10, and our Cortez NPR-related public radio station, San Juan Drylands, can now be heard in Dove Creek on FM 90.5, where they run Greg Bickvicker's wildly eclectic range of music selections on Thursdays at 1 p.m. and almost every night. You are also in for a great treat. The group will be performing in Durango Monday, October 10th at 7:30 p.m. at the Community Concert Hall at Fort Lewis College. Tickets range from $30 to $44, and they say the dance floor will be open. For more details on the group, visit them online at atribecalledred.com.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of September 26th through October 2nd. A deputy responded to a report of a city street sign that has been knocked down by a traveling motorist. A deputy investigated a report of a hit and run causing damage to a local resident's property. Received a report of harassing calls. The case is under investigation. A town resident reported an incident of dogs breaching their residential gate and attacking their dog. Animal control responded. An overdue hiker of El Diente was reported by a family member. The hiker returned before an official search was initiated. A deputy responded to a report of an injured bicyclist near Slick Rock. A resident motorist reported a cow loose north of town. With assistance from information offered by local residents, the owner of the cow was determined and the cow was secured. That's it for this week's Roundup. Stay tuned next week for more updates.
In today's High Country happenings, the Animas Museum will host its annual Wool and Fiber Festival from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. October 8th at 3065 West 2nd Avenue in Durango. Wool spinning and carding demonstrations, wool and fiber vendors, and live alpacas will be featured. We hope they find those ones that were lost up in the Wiminuche very soon. An additional natural dye workshop is available for $55. Attendance is free and the event is family friendly. For more info and to register for the natural dye workshop, call 259-2402. A Dove Creek benefit poker tournament will be held this Saturday, October 8th for local resident Oma Fleming, who is back home after months of surgeries and continuing rehab following the elevator accident this past spring. It will be held at Thompson Trucking. The buy-in is $30. Sign up at noon. The Calcutta is at 1 p.m. and the cards start flipping at 2 p.m. BYOB. And don't forget the VFW Bingo Night starts Thursday tomorrow night in Dove Creek at 7 p.m. It will be held weekly at the VFW post on Highway 491 in the center of town. All of the happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays of the live show and the exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. If you have an event, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119 and we'll be sure to get it on air.
Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m. each day respectively.
Share this with a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube and now featured on the Facebook page. Please like us there and comment. We'd love to hear your voice.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. We'll be back here again next week.